Wait, again,
Uh,
we're going to be so bad at this.
Take 2000. Hi guys, we're the SOC pod. It's Tans, Prachi, and Shammi, and it's three long distance besties trying to do a life. And what was that again?
Trying to keep the friendship alive, one podcast at a time.
Even I
Trying to
forgot, to be
keep
honest.
take 5000. Hi guys, we're the SOC pod. It's Tans, Prachi, and Shammi, and we're three long distance besties, trying to
Keep the friendship alive, one podcast at a time.
exactly. Today, the S in the SOC pod stands for supernatural. We're going to be talking about anything supernatural that we've experienced, we've heard about from our friends or family, and even read on places like Reddit, obviously. It's going to be good, it's going to be bad, but we're going to start off with the bad so we can end on a good note.
Don't lie to the people, Shami. Do not lie to our very loyal listeners. We know you want to start with the bad stories because you both have a crazy, crazy obsession with ghost stories. So, for anybody listening, you should know that these two spend way too much time listening to ghost podcasts and then they discuss it in detail. Whereas I have a life and I do a lot of fun things outside of that. Uh,
Uncalled for.
I'm sorry, the life is sleeping in your bed and not responding to our messages, all because you're too scared to
at
listen to
least
a scary story.
what? At least I'm in peace. 100% of the okay, that's also a lie. I'm never in
That's I was saying.
but anyway, as you can tell, these two are very, very excited for today's podcast, even more excited than our very first episode, which is not good. But um yeah, these two are super excited, and honestly, they both want to host today's podcast, and I do not at all. So, so let's do rock, paper, scissors, and then we can decide who's gonna host. And yeah, so let's start. Ready? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh, Prachi won.
Shami called the
This is
papers, I called the scissors, and therefore I win today.
Yes.
And
this
Shami's
is
going to be
rigged.
salty about it as she does when she loses at sequence as well.
Okay.
Um,
Oh,
This is rigged.
All right. So, as we said, we're going to start with the bad and then end with the good so we can end on a slightly lighter note. The things we're talking about today are going to go from just like phenomenons that we've heard of in general to more personal stories that sort of range from, bro, tell me that wasn't the universe giving me a sign, to bro, tell me that wasn't a higher or lower dimension being making itself known. But before we jump into that, I have the pleasure of introducing you guys to a new segment that we created, and it's called Unhinged Messages from our group chat. Each of us, each
Am
of
I the
us,
only one excited?
because we know how unhinged these messages get. That's why you're the only one excited. But each of us is going to read out one message from one of the other two. We're not going to tell you who sent the message. We're also not going to give you any context because trust me, we didn't get context when we received these messages. So without much further ado, Shami, you want to read one out?
Yeah, so I actually woke up to this message because I went to bed talking about a particular perfume that I'm currently obsessed with. And then I wake up to this message saying, I want to buy it just so I can smell, just so I can know what you smell like, followed by a tongue out emoji and a thirst. You know that thirst trap emoji where your tongue's out, you have a bead of sweat on your forehead, and your face is red.
So I can't
I
remember.
don't know. Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say I can't remember who sent that message, but I agree.
listen, we're definitely not beating the bisexual or like the lesbian allegations here.
What allegations?
Yeah. So yeah, that was the message that I unfortunately woke up to. But listeners, if you can guess who sent me that text, comment down below. So Thans, do you want to go ahead next?
Yeah, sure. So for the people who don't know, I actually sleep very, very early. So this was a message that was sent around 9:30 Dubai time. And I also woke up to this message, and this was a conversation between two people uh yeah, who are acting very, very guilty. Um, yeah, and yeah, I didn't have much to say, but I'm not going to give any context as we had decided. But this is what the text says. When it comes to the runny stuff, it's more flip, 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 flip. Um,
Okay.
so no context, but yeah, feel free to guess, and maybe we'll
Oh.
flip in the future. Um, yeah. I'm
Okay.
embarrassed to be a part of this group. That's all I can.
Okay, moving on, Prachi.
So I'm going to say the same thing, which is that I woke up to this message. But that is because our fellow viewers and listeners, it's because all three of us are currently in different time zones. And it's not helped by the fact that Dans is an early riser and an early sleeper, and I'm an insomniac, which pushes us to even more extremes. And then Shammi just has to like deal with whatever chaos that brings around. So yeah, we tend to, this actually started because we all tend to wake up to slightly crazy messages. And this is one of the ones that I woke up to. I was just looking at how many islands Asia had, and then one website said purchase an island. So I was like, okay. No context. I woke up to that as well. So you will also not get context. Please feel free to guess who sent that. But yeah, right. Should we get back on track?
Yes, we can
Yeah,
move
let's move on to
from
the
the
stories now.
embarrassment
Yeah.
that was this, um, yeah, this session, but fine.
Okay, so getting back on topic because we love the weird stuff over here. Let's go.
Somebody turn my lights off.
I wonder who.
Definitely setting the mood for the podcast.
Yes, and there's also some very atmospheric rain that has literally just started. So this is a good sign, guys. This is a very good sign.
Vibes.
Talk about British weather.
So we are gonna start with the bad phenomenons or stories that we have. I promise you, I will try to hold some semblance of a structure during this pod. But if you're expecting order, you are in the wrong place. This is probably gonna devolve into a deranged conversation. So without further ado, bad phenomenons, guys. Let's go. Guys, just to make a little note, this is stuff that we've heard of and stuff that we believe in, but you know, it's not meant to offend or influence anyone in any way. We're just talking about our experiences.
And the stuff that we've read on websites.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I think I can start this off. I think, well, I'm going to talk about something that many people have heard of, and it's a topic that is widely discussed and something I believe in a lot, and that is evil eye or Nazar. I've had quite a few experiences with it. Not anything, well, I've had mild experiences and a bit more, I haven't had very serious experiences, but a bit more moderate experiences, I would say. But I'm gonna keep it to the mild ones. So, for example, I've had experiences where certain people would come up to me and compliment me on either like things like having good skin on that day, or like my makeup being good or whatever, and most of the times they don't even mean it in like a malicious way. They're just kind of expressing their liking for something that they're seeing, or whatever. And literally, for example, if they said something good about my skin, the next day I would get acne. And to me, that's a bit like, if it happens like once or twice, like I still get it, but it would happen, um, you know, time and time again, like with certain people. And yeah, and so this is like the mild experience. I've had more extreme experiences as well. And so just personally, that's one thing that I kind of believe in. And that's why I'm a bit more careful now about like things I say and all of that. Yeah. So that's one thing from my end.
I think, yeah, I think Nazar definitely is one of the things that, like, as someone like when I was younger, I would just like wave off my parents when they speak about it, because they'd even like my mom would specifically talk about like miti nazar as well, which is like sweet nazar, or sweet eye, instead of like evil eye, in which it's like, if you're overly complimenting someone or like something like that, even if you're doing it with like good intentions, it can end up like having a bad effect on them. I don't know, maybe it's just like the universe being like, or like you've now jinxed them or something. But yeah.
Yeah. That actually makes more
Nah,
sense, because like when someone's just complimenting you like from their heart, you don't like the term evil eye doesn't really fit in, because like they're not doing it from like an evil perspective, right? So yeah,
yeah.
I've never heard of that actually, but yeah.
I think mostly I think I got scolded a few times when like, when there's like little babies in the family and you're just like, oh, you're so cute kind
Yeah.
of thing. And then like you keep saying it, and at one point like my mom like send it up and be like, stop. Um but yeah, but I definitely, I think I've had some experiences with like the bad of it as well. Where it's like happened to me too. But yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know like what my take on this is or where I stand. Because a lot of superstitions I don't believe in. But I think with this one, a couple of instances happened where I was quite young, nothing that I really noticed when I like grew up or like started to remember things. But this is back in the day, I was, giving dance performances in front of like a huge crowd.
Maybe
Um,
Shamita. That was her
oh
stage
my
name, by the
God.
way, guys. Just so
No,
you know, it was
it wasn't.
amazing. Tanya and me
It
found out,
wasn't.
and we had a field day with it. We found
It
newspaper
was the
clippings.
best thing that I've ever known about Shamita, and I've known a lot of stuff. So
Yeah, that was the peak interesting thing that she said. Everything after that has just been like, she used to
yeah.
be a celebrity, and now it's some random.
Okay. Uh, oh my God, yeah. But yeah, like every time there would be like 200, 300 people in the crowd, and I would be giving like solo performances. I was a classical dancer, and then there were instances where the performance was, a picture from the performance was printed on a newspaper, and that people would see it, right? And obviously that I would just fall sick the very next day or like a couple of days after. It would just be like just fever.
Mm.
That's it. And then my mom would obviously, you have the thing of uh, what's the thing that you do with salt and
Yeah,
mirchi and nazar utarna.
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
So
so
for
yeah,
yeah, for our viewers, anyone who's not Indian, with evil eye, there is certain things that, and it's different with different types of Indians as well, exactly what you do to cast off the evil eye. So Shami is just about to describe the way that it's done in her family.
so yeah, I think what she does is takes salt, rock salt preferably, and dry red chili, and then just just take it and do this all over. I don't know how to describe it, but like you
This
just go
is
up and down.
yeah, like you like spin it around the head of the person, and if like they're sat down, then you do it like sort of around their whole body. So you're holding it in your fist, and then you're sort of waving it over them.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's why I said like I don't really know what my opinion is about this because I don't know if it's what my mom did that helped me or if it's just that's how fever is, right? Like you'd get it one day and you don't have it the other day. It just like fluctuates so often that I don't know if it's just a pure coincidence or if it's just what my mom did. That's I have no clue what I feel about this particular topic. But I did also face another thing, and this is quite recent. Again, I don't think it has anything to do with Nazar until Prachi pointed it out. Uh, so where the story starts is I experience a lot of sleep paralysis attacks. And usually it's just, somebody standing at the edge of my bed and I'm seeing them, I'm not able to move.
Oh, I'm sorry, but the
Or
way she says it so casually, usually
Yeah,
it's just
like
one
what the hell?
standing. Yeah.
I mean, if you're somebody who like experiences those stuff, it's just normal for you because
I think you're like whoever you and whoever else experiences paralysis in this way, the fact that you just deal with it so casually is
Crazy.
something else. Like it's amazing because I would just not. I'd be like, goodbye, universe. Like I'm done. I'm signing off because
no,
what that is terrifying.
that's because I know there are people who have it worse because for me it's just at the edge of the bed, right? And for somebody it's literally like sitting on top of their chest. So it's that close. For me, at least, it's not anywhere on me. But this particular instance, it freaked me out a bit because it wasn't just at the edge of my bed, but it was actually on my bed. Sounds dirty, but let me just go into the story, right? um,
Let me
so
just say, nobody thought that.
Nobody thought that. We were in a horror movie 2 seconds ago,
Yeah.
and you made it win.
Wait, but can I ask, sorry, can I ask what did it look like?
what do you mean? What it looked like?
Like you said somebody was sitting on your bed. Is
Yeah,
it
so
just like a
that
black
that's where the
figure?
story comes in, right? It's a part of the story. It's a part of the story.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. So that's the thing. The reason why it freaked me out also is because how I saw it and the way I saw it, right? Like I'm sleeping. I like obviously I don't know that I'm sleeping, right? The last thing I remember is I was on my phone scrolling through random shit that you do before you fall asleep. Because we're Gen Z and that's what we do. So I'm scrolling and scrolling, and I suddenly see my friend sitting on my study chair. And my study chair is right opposite to my bed. So she's sitting there and we're having a normal conversation. And we usually have our friendship is in a way that we have more intellectual conversations than we do about like random stuff or like whatever, like emotions and all of that, and more intellectual stuff. So we were discussing about a particular word, and we were like, okay, what does this word mean? So we were like, okay, fine, you know what? Let's Google it. And I started to look for my phone. Weird that I was looking for my phone because I was just scrolling through my phone. Looking for it, can't find it anywhere. And then I see a hand just throw it onto the bed. And this hand has like long red nails, like longer than what I have right now. Long red nails, yeah. Ooh. Then I just went, okay. Uh, and mind you, like my friend that I am talking to at the moment, she hates putting nail polish on. She hates doing her nails. And that got me thinking, I'm like, wait, when did she do her nails, right? And then I turned to face the study chair and she's not there. And I'm thinking, hold on, I live alone and neither of my friends have visited me in the last couple of weeks. So what is she doing here? And I see my phone because obviously the hand threw the phone on my bed. I see my phone right next to me. I'm trying to like reach my phone, right, to hold it. And now I see like a face appear right in front of me. And it's just like from the forehead to the shoulders, nothing beneath that, like just the top part of the whatever being that is. And this is why I say I found it spooky because even though after I woke up, I realized it must just be a sleep paralysis attack. But usually when I experience sleep paralysis, it's just a shadowy figure. So it's just like all black, nothing there, literally just a shadow standing at the edge of my bed. But this time around, I could actually like see a face. And that face, how do I describe it? You know, if you've watched Stree 2, sorry for any non-Bollywood viewers. If you watch this movie Stree 2, there is a demon in it called Sarkata, and his head is detached from his body, and he holds onto his hair. Um, and he has this really wrinkly, burnt sort of a face with like high cheekbones, and that's exactly what it was. I am not exactly, but like 80% similar to what it was. And it was just laughing. And now I am trying to kick the thing off my bed because obviously you don't know how else to react, right? I'm trying to kick the thing off my bed. And I think this is where my dream sort of interacts with my sleep paralysis because now I'm not able to move. Like I am not able to move my legs, I'm not able to move my hands. I'm trying to scream for help. I'm not able to do that. And it's just trying to reach, like trying to hold on to my phone, not able to do that. And this, I think, felt like a good 5-10 minutes, but I'm pretty sure it was just 30 seconds to a minute, right? And then I'm trying to break out of it. A couple of minutes later, I do. And obviously, there's nothing there. But what I see is my phone's in my hand. Obviously, because I I must have scrolled and scrolled until a point where I just fell asleep like that. And I had this whole dream sequence mixed with my sleep paralysis, which led to that story, which is fine, right? I woke up. I mean, I didn't actually sleep the entire night because obviously I was freaked out, but didn't really think too much about it the next day until I narrated this story to Prachi, the resident Nazar believer.
I'm not the resident believer. I think Tans is more of a believer than I am, but I was trying to make you feel better
Yeah,
because
for
you were
sure, for
freaked
sure,
out by the thing that happened.
for sure, for sure. So I narrate the story to her, and so I usually have like I love wearing jewelry, like you can see on my hair, my hands, my neck, and so I also wear an anklet. Because I like wearing jewelry. And this particular anklet I was wearing that day, I was wearing like for a good couple of years, was a black colored anklet. It had black stones on it. So obviously there is this superstition that, you know, when you have a black thread tied around your ankle, it keeps the evil spirits away or things like that, right? So what Prachi pointed out was the reason I wasn't able to kick the thing off my bed was that it was the anklet on my leg was protecting me to not interact with it or to not come in contact with it, physical contact with it in any way or form. And I was like, you know what? Maybe good shout, all done, right? Now I go down to cook, come up, take a shower, go on with my day, and I think sometime later in the day, I realized that the anklet's missing. Like I don't have it on my legs. And mind you, I have worn this anklet for a good 2 years, never took it off, or was there the entire time I was in the UK. I mean, the first 2 years at least, never took it off. And now all of a sudden, it's not there anymore. And I'm like, okay, what's happening? So I went down because I cooked, right? The kitchen was in the ground floor. Went down, searched all of my kitchen, wasn't there. And searched all of my room, wasn't there. Searched the stairs, wasn't there. And I was just like, you know what? I'm not gonna pay attention to it. And I never really like read into it, but obviously the timing of it was a little spooky. I think a month or two later, I found the clasp of the anklet in the kitchen somewhere, left to a corner, but never found the anklet. But yeah, that was my story.
I don't think this is a little spooky. To me, it's really spooky. Like the fact that you lost the anklet right after that happened, that is insane.
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, listen, like like now still wear a black anklet on my leg, mostly because I like the way it looks on my leg. Uh, my mom and I share it. And it has got those, the bell things that make the noise, like
Yeah,
the chant noise. But what I was also recently told by a friend of ours is some people do actually believe that wearing an anklet, especially the ones that make the noise, is harming you more than it's protecting you, even though it's black. So again, it's all mixed messaging, right? So that's why I still have no clue what I feel about all of this.
yeah, I've also heard of this thing, which is like when there's too much of a negative interaction with like something negative, then that's when the anklet or something, whatever you're wearing that is protecting you, that's when it breaks,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you remember like that's what I said to you as well? Because you had it on the night when it happened, and then immediately afterwards it disappeared.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
like that's why I said to you that there is this thing where it's like if there's only so much negative energy that it can hold.
uh,
After that, it's done its like job. And maybe it like protected you, and then after that was done, like the fact that you couldn't like you found the clasp but you couldn't find the actual like thread is a bit,
weird.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
How would the
Fine.
thread
Okay.
even come off the clasp?
Sorry.
How would the thread even like come off the actual
So
clasp?
it wasn't a thread anklet, it was more of a beads anklet where it was beads connected to a chain.
Okay, okay, I get it. But then you would have found at least one of those beads, right? But anyway.
I literally just found the not the bracelet, not the
Yeah.
anklet.
See,
Hmm.
that is
Yeah.
terrifying. I wouldn't be able to sleep
Yeah.
after that, like would not
I think we're
at
terrified for now.
Yeah, like genuinely scared. I like the scariest like sleep story, like sleep related story I have is so me and my sister both share a room and we have since like we were kids and we sleep on a bunk bed. She sleeps on the lower one and I sleep on the top one. And I have insomnia, so I am usually up at like stupid hours of the night. And I think this is a very widely held belief that like between 3 to 4 is like the witching hour. Even in like Asian customs, 3 o'clock at night is believed to be when like the darker spirits are active and so on. So I'm as usual just like on my phone trying to like fall asleep, and I hear my sister say Prachi, and she sleep talks just like very randomly. She'll say like one time like she just like said dinosaur in her sleep and I was just like what the hell are you dreaming about. So normally when she sleep talks I just like ignore it because then she can go back to sleep. So she went Prachi and I ignored her because I was like she'll go back to sleep, and then she said Prachi like more insistently. So I was like what? And she went, did you feed the ghost? And mind you, it's 3 o'clock at night, okay? And something like this happens, your brain is not awake, and someone says something scary. There's only two things that you remember. One is either Hey Prabhu, like oh God, or you remember mom, right? That's the two people you remember. That's the first things that come out of your mouth. So for some reason, I decided to say, mom said not to. Did you feed the ghost? Mom said not to. And she went, oh, okay, and turned around and went back to sleep. I didn't obviously sleep for the rest of the night. I don't know why that was the excuse that I gave. So if there was something that needed feeding, apparently in our house, the rule is maintained, living or non-living, everybody lives under the fear of my mother. Um, but yeah, but sleep wise, that is the freakiest thing like that's happened to me. That's anything related to like sleep. And seeing as I'm up at like weird hours of the night, I'm surprised and happy that that's the worst thing that's happened.
Could it be that at that time you just thought like, okay, I just want her to like go back to sleep?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
literally, I was like, I don't want to wake her up, and neither do I want to encourage the conversation to be like,
Yeah.
what ghost or like, what are you talking about? It genuinely just came out of like reflex because I was like shocked for a second.
Yeah.
But she was saying my name like quite insistently. And normally she like her sleep talking is like she might mutter a word or two like how you do, but nothing that's like a conversation.
Mm.
And that was the first time it happened, and it freaked me out. But like I said, you either remember God or you remember your mother at times like this, and mom came to the rescue.
But I don't think I would wake the person up and I would not let them sleep the entire night. I was like that I would be like, there's no way you're going to bed now.
I was
It,
freaked out. And to be fair, I think if I'd woken her up, she would have been more scary than any other ghost that was around. So I think this was the best. But I
You
was
were
in
the
shock
ghost.
because I didn't know what to say. And I was just like, Mom said not to, please don't, Mom, no. So that was the best I could come up with at the time.
Hmm.
oh,
Well, I fortunately or unfortunately have not had any interactions with ghosts. Um, yeah, I wish I had more interesting stories, but I don't.
Maybe that's not a thing to ask the universe, Tans.
yeah.
Um, you might immediately regret that.
I
Oh
mean, listen, I
no,
will assure
I'm
you
al
that
I'm already ready to sleep also.
listen, I can assure you that the day I'm gone, I will for sure haunt the both of you. Even when you're showering, even when you're sleeping, even when you're eating, even when you're pooping.
At least don't be a creepy ghost.
I'm
Even
gonna
when
die
I'm
before
showering.
both of you. I'm gonna die before both of you, very much so.
Just so you can haunt us.
Hopefully, I don't stay like around and I move on to the afterlife. But
Oh,
Oh God. Are there any more superstitions that we
oh,
know of?
um,
um,
yeah, I mean, I just like the basic ones from my end, like if you see a black cat, you don't cross it. Otherwise it's like bad luck and like negative energy, all of that. Then like this is something my mom always says, like if like a mirror breaks or like a glass breaks, then you have like 7 years of bad luck, which has happened in my house, but touch wood, I don't think there has. I'm even scared to say, but I don't think there has been bad luck when it did break. Like it broke like years ago in like 2014 or something, and it was fine after that. So I don't know if I believe in that. But that was in a
So
mirror.
wait, I have a question about the mirror thing.
Yeah.
Does it have to be that it breaks in your house, or is
It
it
ha
the case that
so
any broken mirror?
it's not that you come across a broken mirror, it's that you break a mirror, regardless
Ah,
where it
okay.
is, but what in my house a mirror didn't break, it was like a glass bottle. So I don't know if it's just a mirror or even glass bottles count. um but yeah, we kind of like believe in both. I don't know.
I think
Because when I moved,
yeah. Sorry, Shami.
because when I moved into this house where I experienced the incident that I just narrated, I ordered a mirror from Dunell, and they delivered a broken mirror to me.
That is
So
fine, I think. That, but it didn't break like from your hand, right? So I
no,
think,
no, it was already broken. It
yeah.
was sure it was a shipping error.
Yeah,
Well,
but they say that having like broken mirrors around is bad luck. But in terms of like the broken glass thing, it's actually really interesting because in like Gujarati culture, if you break a glass by accident, so this is not specific to mirrors, this is like any like glassware item. I think mirror is bad luck regardless. But if you break a glassware item by accident, it's actually good luck. And I
oh,
think maybe, yeah, maybe Tanya, in your case, that's correct because in the 7 years after that, you met us. So, but
do you
yeah,
hear
it
the silence
This
of
I believe in. So wait, Prach, just going back to what you said about having broken mirror around is bad luck. Uh, so that just reminds me. again, going back to the story that, the broken mirror that I had, which I eventually converted into this lovely looking photo collage sort of a thing. So I've had that broken mirror under my bed for like a good 6 months.
Yeah, you're a
And
donor. You're an absolute
Yeah,
donor.
that's probably why it like got onto your bed also.
That is so no, absolutely not. You do not keep broken mirrors, clocks that have stopped working, stuff like that. You do not keep around.
but like, look, I have got
I
a
don't know
nice
about the
like
clock
a nice
because
photo frame out of it.
sorry, that
You can
doesn't
have
matter.
the photo frame, but get rid of the glass.
But like that broken mirror was under my bed the entire time I stayed in that place.
Was it
Yeah,
just
and
the
you
frame or even the mirror?
Even the mirror, because I
Ah,
was too
yes.
scared to like.
Why would you keep it? That makes no sense.
why?
It was in a box. It was wrapped in a box. It wasn't like it was out in the open.
So throw it away. You
I
don't
don't
keep
think I
that.
don't think a ghost is gonna think, oh, it's wrapped in the box, it's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. Unless you put some like charms on the box, I think it still counts. But yeah, Tans, even the clock thing is a thing. Like
My
in
clock
Gujarati,
always stops and I never give a shit about it. But
no,
yeah.
if it's stopped, you have to either get rid of it or like obviously put like new batteries in or whatever. But apparently having a broken clock around is also bad luck.
Okay.
But
Well,
I mean, like
That
Gujaratis believe a lot of weird things, so like I won't speak for all my people here.
Wait, you guys believe in a lot of other stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah. So we like Gujaratis have a thing of and just like for non-Indians, Gujaratis are a type of Indian from Gujarat, which you could have probably guessed. But
Or did you just say a type of Indian?
yeah, what else would it be? Like a type of Indian? Like what else? How else would you categorize that?
Gujaratis are just Indians from a particular
state
part of
in
the
India.
country.
But like it's a
Yeah.
type of Indian, right? Like, okay, but
We're
okay,
not a
did I
virus
It's like
scratch.
Alfonso Mango.
did I like sound racist towards my
No,
own?
you sounded you like it was like you made it sound like viruses.
I mean, Gujaratis in general, we are questionable.
Listen, you're going to
So
be cancelled by your own community.
it's fine. I have enough extended family to protect me. That's the other thing about Gujaratis. You will, well, there's one, there will be 50. I made us sound like viruses again, didn't I? Okay. Okay, we're gonna move on from the part where which is gonna get me cancelled. Gujaratis, we believe in a lot of like weird and wonderful stuff. And I've heard thanks to the extended family I just mentioned, I've heard a lot of like weird and wonderful stuff over the years. Now a few of these like major things are that especially when it's at night, you shouldn't cross running water. And I think this is not just like a Gujarati thing. Shammi just disappeared. As soon
No,
as I said that,
because the
can you
second
know?
time it's happening, and that is not nice when you're talking about like scary shit.
That is not funny.
Sorry, guys, continue.
Okay, we have a thing which I'm scared to talk about now. Where you shouldn't cross over running water at night, you shouldn't cross roundabouts at night. And like in like Gujarati, you call it like char rasta. So like a four-way road, which you
The
know tends to have
crossroad.
like a
Yeah.
yeah, tends to have like a roundabout in the middle. But you know, you shouldn't cross those, especially late at night. And I have a couple of stories from like extended family members who have done said things and have had like freaky things happen to them. So with the running water one, my granddad's brother, who's a legend, he used to tell us this story when he was younger. And he used to, this was when my family was in India, and they used to live in like a smaller village at that time. And he used to work till very late. So he used to be coming back home on his cycle at about 2, 3 o'clock at night. So right around the time where it's like the witching hour. And he used to have to cross over a bridge, and which had like running water, like running underneath it. And everyone in the family used to tell him that, you know, take the longer route, but he just never would, because he's always been a bit of a badass. I'll come back to that later of the other things that he's done. But he used to just cross over it always. And he used to say that when he was crossing over the bridge, as he'd start getting onto it, he'd feel the back of his cycle start to get heavier. And the back of the cycle would start to feel heavier every time he crossed it. And when he'd gotten over it, the bike would go back to feeling how it would. And then some of those nights, and he's like, it didn't happen every night, but some of those nights, he'd feel like a tap on his shoulder. And one of the things that he always told us was that if you ever experience anything like this, you can't come across as afraid, and you shouldn't turn back and look at the thing either. Just carry on like everything is normal. So he would just carry on cycling like everything is normal. And every now and then, as he was crossing this bridge, he would be smoking a cigarette, full on like meaty from like back in the day. And sometimes he'd feel a tap on the neck and have a hand come forward, and he would pass the cigarette back, and they would apparently pass it back and forth until he got off the bridge. But which is, to me, like, I don't know how much of that story I believe, but the running water thing, because he obviously, like, as granddads do, like, they like to scare you, especially when you're younger. But he's always had stuff like this. He's always been like quite unafraid. And like he like on like just before Diwali, is the day where you have like Indian Halloween. So it's Kali Chodas, and in Gujarati tradition, you make like bhajiyas and varas, which they say to leave it at like a four ways. And it's just as a offering to like spirits, to just be like, hi, we see you, but like, stay away kind of thing. And this man, rather than just leaving it at a four way, which is what most people would do, and according to our tradition is terrifying in and of itself, he would like genuinely volunteer to go and put it at a graveyard at night. And yeah, so he's always been one of those very like badass people who is just like, as long as you don't show your fear and give in to that fear, you'll be fine. Yeah.
No, I think that makes sense with a lot of what these ghost movies also show you, right? These horror movies also show you, because say Conjuring, it's always the weakest person, the weakest link that gets attacked first or gets possessed first. So I guess, yeah, I do sort of believe in what he said, is that like, just don't show the fact that you're scared. Just put on a brave face.
Who do you think amongst us three would be the target? I know
I
who.
think it would be me.
I think it'll be between me and Shammi. I think Prach would definitely be like the bold one.
She'll take a step back and analyze the situation and be like, okay, so how do I go about it, about this? But
Yeah.
the both of us will just be screaming
Vote me most likely to fight a ghost.
I might give Shammi up as like an offering. To like...
Oh!
No, I'm just kidding. Or am I? No, I'm
Listen,
just...
we're talking about
I think maybe Tans, just because the rest of us would still be up speaking in the living room, whereas she would have like annoyed us for an hour until we gave her permission to go to sleep. And she would be alone, which is why she would be the first to go.
But if I would be sleeping, then the ghost probably wouldn't bother me. Actually, yesterday I was last night when I slept, I just felt like it was like I woke up and then I decided to go back to sleep for like 5-10 minutes more. And I felt something like pulling my blanket away. And and then I was just like, meh, and I just went back to sleep.
Dude, I was just gonna say this when you said, "Oh, I'm gonna be asleep. So what's the ghost gonna do?" And I was literally just gonna be like, "Yeah, it could pull your blanket away, or it could like knock from underneath the bed."
Bruh, why are you giving the ghost ideas?
Listen, it's 12 in the night for me, and 12, half 12 in the night for me, and I'm already
But
peaked.
you know what? That would make sense. Like it really annoys me in horror movies why like ghosts stop like by the end of it, like they can like do like all scary stuff. And then it's like, why at the beginning are you starting so slow? But it's kind of like maybe they do all of that to start ramping up fear because fear is what they need to get in.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It can
True.
make
Or they want to know who the weakest link is.
sense.
That is true.
So you guys know how everybody experiences like ghosts or like supernatural or even negative and positive beings like in different ways, right? Shammi, you were saying something about like the different guns, like the Manushya gun, all of that. Do you want to talk about that? Because I think that'd be really relevant
Oh
to.
yeah.
Yeah, so for the non-Hindi listeners, um, so guns are basically, let's say, the criterias or categories that people fit in, and there are three of them according to Hindu scripts. So one is Dev gun. Dev essentially means God. Second one's Manushagan, which is human beings, and the not human beings, but like human-like. And the third one is Rakshasgan, which is devilish, demonic, all of that in that category, right?
I absolutely object to this because I know where this is going. And I
I
do
was gonna
not
say.
I do not identify. I do not identify as demonic. I would just like this to be known to the wider audience.
I mean, I'm
Uh,
just saying, Shami and I are Manushyagan and yeah, Prachi's Rakshas.
Demonic, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
this is according, by the way, these categories are according to the date and time at which you were born, which I had no control over. So please, can we limit the demonic accusations?
It was written in your fate.
Okay, but
It
okay,
was,
let's explain to the people what it means.
yeah. So basically what it means a lot of things, right? But in this context, in the context of anything supernatural, spooky, how they're categorized is so whoever is in Devgan, which is the blessed gun, the blessed of all the categories, because they cannot. Ooh, my ring light keeps switching
Every
off. I don't know
story,
why.
every single story.
Every time, I'm telling you, there's something weird.
So whoever belongs to Devgan, they are the blessed souls because they don't sense, see, or experience anything supernatural. So they are basically blindsided to everything that's happening around them in terms of anything spooky.
But they
Uh,
also they also can be used as like protectors, right? Because
yeah,
like those negative energies stay away from them.
yes,
Yeah, I've
yeah,
heard about
they're
that.
like the shields. Yeah,
Yeah.
which sadly neither of us are, by the way.
Yeah.
So and then you have the Manushagan, which is sort of a mix of Devgan and Rakshasgan in a way that they can sense negative energies around them, but they can't really interact with them. And then you have Rakshasgan, which is what Prachi belongs to, obviously. So the whoever falls under this category can actually see and interact with negative energies. And I'm just sort of theorizing that, clairvoyants and readers and all whoever is in that particular industry, sort of whoever's authentic, or if they are, belong to that particular gun where they're able to interact with supernatural things. But yeah, I think
This would
uh
explain the disparity in like the experiences we've had because I mean, we'll probably have to come back to these in like a different podcast because we've already waffled for quite a long time. But I think out of the three of us, I have the most extreme stories, um, in good and bad
good and bad
ways.
both. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Huh.
But
I don't know
also,
how
so
I feel
you're the
about
weakest link. You're the weakest link, by the way, because you are easily, like, you can be easily
That's
possessed.
not so the fact that I have lesser stories means I'm the strongest one.
not
Thank
necessarily, right?
you.
How are you guys gonna fight something that you can't see or sense? You guys are
I
essentially
mean, you
blind.
will
You guys are
sense it,
liability.
you will sense it, you will fight it, and Shammi and I will walk out.
But what
Essentially,
it
yeah.
can still affect you. You just can't see it affecting you. That's the difference. You guys are liabilities in this scenario.
So
Listen, the day you wake up with unnatural bruises on your body is the day Tans and
oh,
I will stop being friends with you.
Okay, see again, what a lie because I always wake up with random bruises because I'm the clumsiest one out of the three of us.
Um, I mean, I will leave it to the negative energies to explain the bruises.
Please don't say that. I'm not gonna be able to sleep at night at all.
Oh, but so I think we've discussed quite a lot of stories today, and based on our experiences, and I think we have a lot more to talk about. And I selfishly want to save that for another podcast because, yeah, like Tan said, I obviously do love talking about ghosts and horror stuff. So does Prach. So that is why, to save my stories, I asked ChatGPT to write a horror story featuring the three of us here, obviously in Selly Oak. So I'm just gonna read it out here. It's called The Haunting of Selly Oak. And mind you, this had a lot of reiterations because I had to go back and forth with ChatGPT to make it a little more exciting. But so it's called The Haunting of Selly Oak. And this is how the story goes. In Selly Oak, tucked away from the hustle of the high street and the train station, stood an old apartment building. To outsiders, it looked unremarkable, its worn brick facade blending into the grayness of the city. But for Shammi, Tans, and Prachi, three friends living in the building but in separate flats, it became a place they could never forget. It slowly began with little things. Shami's TV turning itself on, Prachi hearing footsteps in the hallway outside her bedroom, Tans waking up to finding her taps running, her bathroom flooded. At first, they laughed about it, chalking it up to quirks of the old building. But laughter turned into silence when the hallway lights began flickering and a shadow moved just beyond their sight. One evening, Shami sat alone in her flat. The hum of a heater filled the air as she scrolled through her phone. The cold draft brushed against her neck, making her shiver. She checked the windows. They were shut. She ignored the unease creeping up her spine, telling herself it was just the weather. Then the sound began. A faint scratching like nails tracked across wood. It
Yeah.
was it was coming from inside the wardrobe. Shami froze. Slowly, she turned towards it, the dim light from her TV casting long shadows across the room. The scratching grew louder, more frantic. Her breath caught in her throat as the door creaked open a fraction. Something stared back at her, two hollow eyes glinting in the darkness. The next day, the three friends gathered in Tan's flat.
Hold on. What do you
Shamiri,
mean the next day? What do you mean the next day? What do you mean the next day? I'm sorry.
listen, ChatGPT wrote it.
No. Okay, but you should have told it to edit it. And that's the part where you start singing Jai Hanuman. Like start singing the Hanuman Chalisa at full volume before you run out of the door. Man said the next day.
I'm not writing a novel here. I'm not doing that.
No, no.
The next day, the three friends gathered in Than's flat. Shami recounted her experience, her voice shaking. I saw something in my wardrobe. What did it look like? Prachi asked, her face pale. I don't know. It was dark, but it's the eyes. They didn't blink. They just stared at me. Prachi hesitated before speaking. I think I think I've seen it too. The air in the room grew heavier. Tans, ever the skeptic, tried to laugh it off. You guys just need to get some sleep. You're letting this place get to you.
All right, hold on a second. It's always the skeptic that dies first. This is not,
Also, in real life, yeah, Tans would have dipped.
yeah.
Yeah, in the first instance.
Shammi would
But
have
it's not
half
tied in with the fact that we said
I'd be
Tans would be
like,
the first
okay,
person to
guys,
die.
I'll see you guys later. Take your energy and leave my house.
You would leave the country.
No, thank
Yeah.
you. No ghost will be coming here. No, thank you. Goodbye.
Okay, but even she couldn't ignore the unease that has settled over them. That night, the apartment building turned against them. In Prachi's flat, the crying began. It wasn't faint like before. It was loud, agonized, and echoing from every corner of her room. She clutched her blanket, paralyzed with fear, as her mirror began to fog up on its own. A handprint appeared on the glass, then another, then another. Soon dozens of handprints peered the mirror, as though something on the other side was desperately trying to claw its way through. In Tan's flat, the water returned. She woke to the sound of her taps gushing, the icy flood lapping at her ankles as she stepped out of the bed. She turned towards her bathroom to shut them off, but stopped dead in her tracks. There was someone in the mirror. The figure stood tall behind her, a tall, gaunt woman with hollow eyes and a mouth stretched into a grotesque grin. As Tan spun around, the bathroom door slammed shut, locking her in. Shammi's flat was the worst. The TV roared to life on its own, filling the room with static. Words began forming in the flickering chaos. Get out. The lights went out, plunging her into darkness. A low, guttural whisper rose from the shadows. Shammi. The voice dragged her name out, savoring every syllable. She turned towards the sound.
1 second. How is it that Shammi had the worst? I was locked in a bathroom, drowned in that water, and Shammi had the worst because a ghost came and said, Shammi, what nonsense.
Firstly, the ghost that was saying get out was actually trying to help her. And the second thing just went from creepy to like seductive. Like, what does it mean? Like, enjoying every syllable of it. Means got a helpful and seductive ghost. Tan's just trying to drown her. And mine is apparently trapped in a freaking mirror, and somehow Shami's is the worst.
Wait, I thought that Prachi's meant that there were like multiple ghosts there.
Thank you for that image. Thank God I sleep with my sister because I would not be sleeping tonight otherwise.
Listen, the reason why it said I had it the worst is because after she called my name out, and I turned towards the sound, I saw a figure from my wardrobe. It was taller now, its form twisted and unnatural. Its eyes burned like embers in the darkness. By dawn, the friends had gathered in the hallway, their faces pale and drawn.
They
Yeah,
didn't.
we
They
just-
didn't get out.
How did I get out of the I don't know, the bathroom that I got locked in where I was
They didn't. Yeah, they didn't dip there and then. They were like, okay, we go back to sleep.
Let's
No
leave
clues are there.
tomorrow.
And then next day, we
Yeah.
will see.
Okay. This building, Prachi whispered, it's alive. Shammi nodded, her hands trembling. I think it wants us to leave. But why now? Tans asked, her voice hollow. The answer came from when they found the name carved into the basement wall. Eleanor. The basement felt wrong, as though the building itself didn't want them there. The air was suffocating, thick, and the smell of decay. They moved cautiously, their flashlights cutting through the darkness. They found the box buried beneath within the floorboards. Its wood rotten and brittle. Inside was a wedding ring and an old photograph. The woman in the picture was Eleanor, alive and smiling. The man beside her, her dad, his face violently scratched out. The whispers returned, louder this time, echoing all around them. Eleanor appeared, her translucent figure trembling with fear. You must destroy the ring, she said, her voice cracking. It binds him here. If you don't, he'll kill you too. The building shuddered violently as a shadow emerged from the far corner of the basement. The man, no longer human, his form twisted and grotesque, his face contorted with rage. He towered over them, his movements jerky like a puppet pulled by invisible strings. You don't belong here, he growled, his voice deep and distorted. The friend scrambled backward as he lunged. His claw-like hands swiped at them, tearing through the air with unnatural speed. Shammi screamed as his icy fingers grazed her arm, leaving a trail of searing pain. Burn it, Eleanor screamed, her ghostly form standing between them and the monster. Burn the ring. Tans grabbed the ring.
Sorry, it's just going very Lord of the Rings right now, and I'm loving it.
I haven't seen it, so I
Already
won't.
two more door. Sorry, carry on.
Tans grabbed the ring and ran to the furnace, like she would. Uh,
First of all, we wouldn't ever go to the basement.
Exactly. What
Yeah.
we like? Oh, the building's trying to let us go. Let's go exploring.
Tans grabbed the ring and ran to the furnace. The creature roared, its voice shaking the very walls of the building. You will die for this, it bellowed, its face twisting into something unrecognizable. As Tans hurled the ring into the fire, the creature let out a blood-curdling scream. Its body convulsed, its form disintegrating into ash. Eleanor's ghostly figure began to fade, her expression softening into one of peace. Thank you, she whispered, her voice echoing faintly as she vanished. The silence that followed was deafening. The basement was still, the air finally free of its oppressive weight. The friends stood there, shaken but alive. But as they returned to their flats, the hallway lights flickered one last time. A faint whisper lingered in the air.
So hold on a second. My question is, do they only have 3 apartments in this entire flat? Like,
Um,
Yeah, and apparently we are 3 apartments and a basement.
yeah.
3 apartments and a basement, and which we decided to explore as if our Indian asses wouldn't immediately call a baba
Yeah.
to be like, can you do something with this? Because like we're not having any of this.
Bro, like the first night, I mean, not even the night like that I got locked in the bathroom. I think the night the next morning when you guys told me this, I'd be out. I'd just be like, yeah, okay, you know what? New
Yeah.
apartment. Like I gotta
New
find a
friends.
place. And I'm sure Shami would have forced me to stay in this apartment as well. Like before you know how you manipulated me to stay in Selly Oak? Like that. I'm sure she would have been the reason. And I'd be like, goodbye. You know, you can stay here. My mom is,
What? Stop.
oh,
I mean, stop. Can you
Where
control your ring light because you're freaking us out?
it's just happening on its own. I can't help
you
it.
know what? I can see like those music notes behind you, and I keep
Mm.
like, oh, somebody's there, like behind you, because like that's
Right.
so good.
Lovely. Thank you.
No, it's just the loose connection. Don't worry, guys. It's got nothing to do with anything supernatural.
Are you sure the loose connection isn't caused by, you know?
It's caused by Prachi's loose brain wires, but yeah, sure.
Stole my joke. And excuse me, all my wires are loose. Thank you very much. But okay, that was a very good story with our lovely edits. It was made better. But I think, yeah, I think we would have dealt with it very differently. Like Hanuman Chalisa would have been blasting.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Like out of every speaker we had available,
Yeah.
would have been lasting the very second it happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, so I think we have waffled on for quite a long time. We have a lot more ghost stories, a lot more supernatural stories. So I think we're gonna have to probably spin this into a part two. Because I don't think we've even touched on the more extreme ones yet.
Yeah.
Um,
And we haven't
but
spoken about the good ones a lot.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
But
yeah.
yeah, so on that note, let's end on a good note and do one positive story. And then we can call it a day. So, one positive story.
Hey, Hans can finally go sleep. She's been waiting for
Yes.
a good 2 hours to do that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. We had to do it after my working day, and I am, yeah, our time. Or like, guys, whoever's listening, time zones. Trust me, they are killer when it comes to friendships. And this is exactly why we did this podcast, because otherwise, there is no way in hell Dans would have agreed to stay up till this late to talk to us. She would
Yeah.
not have,
I would
no
have been
matter
in
how
bed.
juicy the gossip
I would
was.
have been in bed by like 9 p.m. Honestly. Yeah.
Yeah. But okay, so ending on a positive note, I can tell one good energy story.
Go on.
Yeah. Okay. So, last year, I was lucky enough to go to Mount Kailash with some family members. And the trek itself was composed of doing, it's called a pradakshina, in Hindi and Gujarati, which essentially means that you go around the mountain itself, like climbing Kailash, and there's a lot of like stories around that around Kailash as well, that even in mythology, people don't are not able to go past a certain point of it because it is the abode of the god Shiva, and his wife and his children's. So Parvati Ma, Ganesha, Kartikeya. So even in heavenly figures, it's there's a lot of stories how people can't go past a certain point. No human has gone past a certain point either. Um, there's a lot of stories around it in terms of its energy, in that even like signals go bad when trying to, like, because in this day and age people are like, oh yeah, we can like videograph the top if we like send a drone or a helicopter, but they get messed up, like the compasses lose like direction and stuff. So Mount Kailash is the abode of Shiva and his family, and we were lucky enough to visit, and yeah, not climb it itself. I think even to the limit where it needs to be climbed, you probably should do a bit of like physical training, and that is probably beyond me. So we were doing the pilgrimage. That means that you go around it 3 times. Now everyone sort of like, we had older people in the group and younger people in the group, and everyone sort of picked their pace. So some people, but it was me, my sister, and one of my cousins, and we were like, we're gonna walk the entire distance. Some people were like, we'll walk, take horses. So everyone was just doing their own like sort of combination of it. So on the first day, it was only about 12 kilometers, like 12 to 14 kilometers that you have to cover before you get to the first base camp. And the day started off like really, really well. Like the sun was shining, and at that point, everybody was together. And so because we were together, we were walking like a bit slowly, and taking our time and just like enjoying the absolutely just like amazing like view around you. But at that point, right, when you start this pilgrimage, you can't see Kailash just yet. You have to walk a certain distance before you can. So we get to one of the first stops, and that's where people, if they're using horses and so on, that's where they rent them from. And that's when everybody started getting separated. So me, my sister, and my cousin, the three of us were still together. But it started like sort of raining, and it was getting a bit more difficult, like the terrain, because it went from flat to now it was sort of hills upwards, and like you could genuinely feel that you were now doing like a trek. And we'd been told that about 3 or 4 kilometers from the end is where there's a little tea shop where everybody rests before finishing the last part of it. And everyone was in like, the three of us were in high spirits. But the rain was sort of increasing. and we were getting, none of us wanted to say it, but we were getting more and more tired because you could see just about far enough to see the top of the next hill that we were climbing, but you couldn't see beyond that because at this point it was raining, it was really foggy. But we were just like, what, there's like 10 kilometers before we get to that tea shop? Like, there's nothing in it. Like, we are young people, we've got this. We carried on going, we carried on going, we carried on going. Now, I think all of us were starting to feel like quite wary. And eventually, I can't remember which one of us it was, went, does this tea shop even exist? And, it was the first sort of expression of we are feeling disheartened, like that we like let out vocally. And we are just getting to the top of a hill, and we turn around and the sun comes out. We see Kailash for the first time, and it was just, those goosebump moments that that you're going to remember for the rest of your life. The second we sort of let out that feeling of like, oh, we're feeling low now, is when what we came to see, what we came to pray to, is when we saw it for the first time, and it felt like a pat on us, say like a pat on our back, saying that keep going. When you lose faith or when you falter, I will be there to carry on and to help you in one way or another. And like, I'm having goosebumps like talking about it now, because it definitely was I think one of the most special moments of my life, feeling that for the first time. And just the timing of it was something else. Because like I said, until then, we couldn't see anything. Like, the sky was all fog, and we turned and the rain broke, the fog broke, and we saw Kailash for the first time, and it was amazing. So
That's
yeah.
cool. Like, it sounds like a movie scene, like.
And
I mean, I think it's
carry on, Shammi.
I think it's just the universe or God, whatever you want to believe in, just giving you that like that extra push that
Yeah,
Prachi said.
like you're
And
on the
giving
right
you,
path.
yeah, and just giving you positive vibes around you, just so that, you know, it's just to let you accomplish the task that you set on.
And I think
Yeah.
because, like you said, like it felt like it was like out of a movie, the fact that it was just so surreal in terms of the timing, was just, I feel like I think everyone has had experiences, whether like you relate them to God or whether you just relate them to the universe or to nothing at all, where you feel like you are getting worn down and you're getting tired. And then there's a sign, one way or another, that the universe or something is looking after you and it pushes you to keep going. And I think this was one of like the most sort of obvious examples of that I have in my life, where I felt that, and it was jaw dropping. And it sort of, we'll come back to these stories next time. But it made me think back about the other times in life where I've had that feeling through a friend, through a family member, where even when I've not acknowledged it, but I've come to a breaking point within myself, and someone or something has come along and uplifted me without me even realizing that I had gotten to that point. But yeah, so that's the positive note that we'd like to end on, that there are bad things potentially out there. But if you believe in the bad things, then I think it's important to remember that there are also the good things that are out there. It's all about balance, yeah. And yeah, hopefully the balance stays on the good side. But yeah.
Not for Tans though.
How,
First one out.
Good side for her.
how mean.
Hi.
I'm just trying to live a peaceful life. Now, tonight, I'm not going to be able to sleep after all these stories. But the last
Listen, I've seen you drowse, okay? Like while Prachi
I'm,
was narrating a story, your eyes were shut for a good couple of seconds.
I'm not even kidding. As soon as I press stop record, like, I'm shutting the laptop and I'm like, bye. I'll see you guys after 2 weeks.
Oh my God.
End it then. End the podcast.
Okay. let's say our goodbyes then.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking out the time to listen to this podcast or even watch this podcast. Um, yeah, and we hope you enjoyed all of these stories, especially the last one. We hope it brought some happiness, some light into your day, and maybe gave you that extra push as well that you needed. Um, what else should I say? Oh yeah, you can watch. What else should I say? You can listen to mine and Prachi's beautiful voices.
I sound like Batman.
Okay, you can listen to all of our beautiful voices once every 2 weeks on Spotify, YouTube. YouTube if you want to see our faces as well. I mean, not mine, but like you can see me as different avatars. Well, thank you so much for taking out the time once again to listen to us and for supporting us. Please keep supporting us, and then we'll buy better equipment for for our podcast.
All right,
Especially my ring
Android
light.
user, talk about yourself. Okay.
Ooh, I'm on a Mac.
So am I. But your phone
Yeah,
is
my phone.
I use one of the best phones.
okay. We are
Okay,
going off topic on a goodbye, guys. That is what we
Okay,
are
well,
doing.
right.
So
thanks
if
once
you want,
again.
yeah, if you want more of this nonsense, please come back and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Hey, like, share, and subscribe, right? Like, do
Okay,
it
yeah.
for us, for
Please
your
Yeah,
sake,
like,
whatever you want to do.
yeah. And if you want to guess who the text messages were from, please go ahead. We will be back with more of those too.
and we would love to hear your opinions on who you think would be possessed first amongst the three of us.
Why would you end it on that note? We literally went to end it on a positive note.
Okay, we Tanzu need to go and sleep now. So
Okay.
Yeah,
let's
and I
go.
can hear my
Bye.
dad shouting my name. That might be in the background. But
Okay.
yeah, see you guys
Bye.
soon.
Bye
Bye.
bye. Night. Bye.